This is probably the most private space that I can get to today, because I am on a bus, and then I'm in the city, and then I'm on a bus again, and then yeah. So let's do some secrets. There is one that I'm not sure I should talk about. I realized writing them out, I don't have very many. First one. When I was a kid, not that young though, old enough to know, I don't use language like that. I was going to say old enough to know better, but I think that's unhelpful. Probably from quite a young age, when I viewed lying and stealing kind of in a similar way. I viewed it very utilitarianly. And I saw it as if I didn't get caught, that it wasn't wrong. I think maybe I thought that about a lot of things. If I didn't get caught, it wasn't wrong. No one knew. No one was the wiser. Things were only wrong if they were, if they affected the world in a way that other people's realities and perspectives were affected. And I had this conversation, actually, I think many times with friends over the years. And I remember a conversation with you and I had once where he asked me if I would steal something from him or something. And I said that it wouldn't make a difference if I stole something from him and he never knew it was gone. Then it was like I never stole it. And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? We were like early teens at this point. He's like, what are you talking about? Don't steal shit from me. And I was like, well, you would never know, so it doesn't matter. And I used to lie a lot, just to make people have an image of me that I thought was in some way better or more. Some of it was me trying to like build a picture of me in other people's heads that I felt was more accurate, so like a faster way of people getting to know me was lying and embellishing stories to sort of like push that dial forwards. It was actually in my first relationship where I told a story and I admitted that I had lied in it. Or lied about the story entirely. My partner was like, what? You just lied? And I was like, yeah. And I so casually moved forward, and we had a long conversation, and she kind of made me reflect more on what it meant and why I was doing it, and I didn't want to lie to her, and I didn't want to be dishonest, and so from that point I kept course correcting every time I caught myself doing it with her, and then it became something that something of a point of pride is wrong, but something of a point of pride, let's just use that language now, to not lie as much as possible and really try and embody the spirit of honesty and telling the truth. And from then I went from basically lying all the time and thinking constantly about how to like twist the stories and lie so that all the loose ends were covered and I wouldn't get caught out, and I really like went quite deep into the new worlds I was creating in order to like capture all the lies I was telling. And I started telling the truth all the time, and that kind of stuck, and I reached a point where it actually felt very uncomfortable for me to lie, and now that's where I am now, which is why I try, and I think successfully, pretty much don't lie ever. I can remember a couple of times withholding some truth over the last 6 months, but no, I don't think I've actively lied. I don't think. Right, what I was leading to, I wasn't actually going to talk about lying, I was going to talk about stealing. When I was between the ages of 13 and I want to say 13 and 15, I would steal money from my parents, from their purses and wallets, but only from places that I knew. Like, I tended not to steal directly from the wallet. It would be from like a zip pocket in a bag somewhere, or if I saw something lying around, I would take it because I figured that they would consider that they just lost it. Thinking back now, right now, they maybe knew, but didn't know who it was. Or maybe they did know and they did know it was me. But then I would have suspected they would have said something, potentially. But I think it really wasn't anything malicious. It was, I had a disconnect from what money was and what it meant. I think I just sort of considered us to have lots of money and it not really matter. And also the philosophy around, like, if they don't know, then if they think that they've lost it, then to them they have. So I hadn't stolen it to them, and what mattered was other people's realities and their perception rather than my own. My reality was that I had the money. Their reality was they'd lost their money. Those two things are allowed to exist at the same time. And I would just buy sweets. I just wanted candy, and so I just spent it on sweets. That was it, really. Yeah, I think just my perception and view of money at the time when I was a kid just wasn't a healthy one. I didn't really understand where it came from, how much we had, what that meant, what that looked like, what it, any of that. So I can't remember when I stopped doing it, and I would not do it all the time, but yeah, I used to steal money from my parents. Another one attached to my parents a little bit is whenever I tell the story, previously when I used to tell the story of my upbringing and how I led to sort of the path that I'm on now and working, I would always embellish, but like really, really exaggerate the point of pity from other people to me of like the hardship that I went through in order to sort of glorify my own hardship and how great I am now and how much I went through. And so the thing that really notably stands out is I would tell people that I was kicked out of my house when I was 18. That was the language I would use. I would kicked out. And I tell people that I had a place at medical school and I turned it down. Neither of which are true. I argued a lot with my parents for the last 2 years of schooling, 16 to 18. And some of the parts of the story are true, where I did walk out and my parents followed me out. We argued all the time and it was extremely unhealthy and we clashed very, very, very poorly at the time. And I felt immense pressure to leave. And words were exchanged to the effect of leaving, but I was never kicked out, and the support was never removed. I never was completely cut off from the support and love of my parents, even if we were going through something very difficult at the time. And I think it's unfair of me to have portrayed them in that way, to sort of feel a sense of, to create a version of myself that was arbitrarily stronger and had gone through even more, and validate some of the feelings and expressions that I was going through. I was not kicked out. I chose to leave. Yes, there was a lot of pressure. Yes, words were exchanged to the effect of both me wanting to leave and them wanting me to leave, but I don't really believe that that it was at all accurate, and it never felt genuine when I was saying it. Every single time I said it, I knew that I was, in myself and how I felt about it, I was lying. Because I know that it's a lot more nuanced and complex, and I knew what my relationship was, and I knew what I was doing. And also, I never had a place. I was rejected from all the universities I applied to, including paramedic school. I didn't apply for clearing. I maybe could have got in to some other schools or something. I had an interview at Manchester University, but I didn't get the place. So, yeah, I never had that opportunity. It was given to me by the world for me to leave. I went to dental nursing school for a little bit, which not very many people know. I met someone really very lovely there during the course, who I spoke to quite a lot, and she I only remember that she made me think about what I was doing, and not actively. She wouldn't like constantly sort of be grilling me or be therapizing me or anything. She was just chatting, and one of the first people who was so disconnected from what I was doing, but also connected to this random esoteric niche thing that I was doing that none of my friends even really knew about that I had ever done. That I could explore something, and I realized I wanted to do a teaching English course abroad, but I didn't have the money to do it, so I asked my parents, and they said no. And that was one of the final catalysts to leave, where I realized that my life choices had to be controlled by myself, to even that degree of wanting to push myself forward in any direction and succeed in any direction. It had to be from me. Dental nursing school was paid for by my parents because it was connected enough to medical stuff, and I did sort of have a vision of a future of me doing it and then becoming independent enough that I could move off, but that was just something I was telling myself in order to have some opportunity somewhere, but it was never really real. This was not really a secret, it's just egotistical. Sometimes I feel like I have to take people with me when I talk, and I'm not always engaging. I'm not always considering people on an equal level to myself. I think that's just ego speaking. I need to dissolve that part of myself, but also see what it is that other people can bring in order to ensure that I don't look down on other people, no matter where they're coming from. That's a very generalized, because it's not really. That's it. I don't have any other. Cross that out on this now. I don't have any other secrets. I was trying to think about this yesterday, and I couldn't think of anything else. I think that now. And maybe I could before, but now I hope that there is no question about myself that I couldn't answer. There's no part of me that I couldn't turn over. Yeah. No part of myself hidden from anyone else if they ask, because their judgment or perception couldn't affect me. It's all mine. Okay. That's it. Those are my secrets. Not the most insane things ever, but there's a lot that I've admitted to that are no longer secrets around those that just I wasn't really holding on to anymore. And Ewan again actually was the person who called me out on the he once said that he didn't understand why not that he didn't understand, but he called me out on embellishing my leaving story and what I was trying to draw out of people from that, including the being kicked out, because he was there through the whole process, experiencing it, with me as my friend through it, and so I appreciate him always sort of trying to baseline me and challenge me. And I can sometimes get in my own head, create a reality and live in it and think that that's what reality is. And Ewan tends to be more grounded than that, just at base. Though I think I'm much better now. Still have a tendency to get a bit airy. Just like vibration-y, low-level tension sitting in my chest, but I think it'll hopefully dissolve, and then that'll be it, and then I'll never come back for this. Alright. Cool. Thought of another one. I thought of another one. So, whenever whenever people ask me about my flat and how I afforded it, I don't lie, but I don't say that my parents helped me. Because I think it takes away from their image of me. Well, no, I that's the habit. That's the reason the habit built. And I should stop doing that. I should just be open. It's more important than I should be open about it. I don't say how much money they gave me and that it came from them too, and that I couldn't have done it without their support. And all those things are true. And that I'm very grateful, and the life that they've enabled me to have is something that I cherish. And I feel incredibly privileged to have that backing to do that. And I think it not only undermines some of the impression that some of the other lies that I would tell gave about my parents and therefore reflected on me, but also on my the growth and path that I took and the success of the path that I took being only possible because of the support of my parents. Even though I know that that's not true. I haven't had the flat forever, and I was already on my path to success without the flat and living in shared houses and things like that. So it really doesn't take away from anything. It's just it was this sort of sense of strange optimization of image, and an easy thing for me to avoid talking about. So yeah, my parents contributed very heavily and were, quite frankly, the only reason that I could afford to have my own place, which has enabled a lot of my life going forwards. I would have had, I hope, a life that was equally valuable and worth living and beautiful without it, but that's to say, my life now is certainly enabled by it, and some of the good that I could do has been enabled by it. And I know that there were times where I actually felt entitled to the support from my parents, even through not reciprocating that relationship in a way that seemed that was fair, and projecting an insecurity of where I sat in view of my parents and in relation to my brother and sister. So yeah, I need to be open about that as well, because there's nothing good or bad or right or wrong, as I don't use those words anyway, about what happened. It is simply what it is, and I can now make from it the most that I can and do what I can with the privilege that I have. Cool. Okay. So much for being open. Just ruined my camera plans, but I guess I'll just have to buy it from Hanoi. So no camera for the caves. It's okay. We make do, huh? 2 for 2. Doing really, really good so far. Okay, that makes 3 strikes. I think I must have picked the worst possible time. Sunday on a holiday. Oh man, my back's killing me. Okay, I'm just gonna go to the supermarket. And I guess find any cafe or just go straight to the bus station. Even though my bus is at 6 and it is 2 o'clock. I have time to kill. Gotta kill that time. Okay. See, a very, very fancy little pod. Look at the fanciest little bedroom I've been in. Can I show this? Look at that. loads of space. Big TV thing. Even some headphones. Unfortunately, I'm not going all the way to Hanoi, which means I have to get off at like 12:30. So I have to stay up. Gotta stay up. Actually, the bus is also late, so it might even be like 1:30. Nice. Watch this.
Chưa có, ông bảo hôm nay ông ấy gọi là cài đặt cho, nhưng mà thấy tên ở trên app của ông Dũng là có tên mình rồi, nhưng mà trong này nào nó vẫn không có nhỉ?
Chưa lót được. Cái này mình còn sáng là không được chịu.
Wait. Cool. Guys, this is a massage chair. Wait, watch. You can't feel this, but I can. Can I lift the position? Is that how this works? M1? What's this? Position. Oh, it just changes where it's vibrating. You can hear my voice. Yo. Oh, yo. This is so silly. I don't like this. First time I've ever been to one where the screen actually works. The only two movies are Expendables 2 and Curry and Pepper. I don't know. Oh. Okay. Cool.